Gaza. Joining us now is Michael Oren, the former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. and a former member of the Israeli Knesset, the Israeli parliament. Ambassador, thanks so much for joining us. Do you believe Prime Minister Netanyahu is ready to sign on to this 21-point White House peace proposal?
Good to be with you, Wolf. It's a very interesting proposal. What's been published so far is, as you just posted on the screen, it's basically an end to the war, the release of all the hostages, reconstruction of Gaza, and a peace plan that will have a pathway, quote unquote, a pathway to Palestinian statehood. All that looks very good on paper. The devil is very much in the details here. It calls basically for Hamas to surrender, to say it's giving up on its jihad, giving up its weapons. That the Hamas members who remain in Gaza, according to the plan, have to actually take a pledge that they will no longer pursue terror, that they will actually accept Israel's right to exist and accept the peace process. I don't know if Hamas is prepared to do that. On the Israeli side, the key members of the Prime Minister's coalition, even his own party, reject any discussion of that pathway and any involvement of the Palestinian Authority in a post-Gaza arrangement. So there are significant obstacles on both sides. It'll be very interesting how these two leaders will somehow maneuver around these obstacles and come out with what looks like a plan for ending this war.
You know, the plan, the 21-point peace plan that's been reported on and published in various news media organizations also includes not only the return of all the Israeli hostages, the ones who are still alive, about 20 Israeli hostages, and the bodies of the remaining Israeli hostages, but in exchange, Israel would release perhaps 1,000 Palestinian terrorists who have been convicted of all sorts of crimes in Israel and allow them to go free. Is that something you think Netanyahu will accept?
Well, he has accepted it in the past. He accepted it in the Gilad Shalit deal in 2011. Israel freed 1,027 convicted terrorists. About 80% of them went back to being active members of Hamas, including Yahya Sinwar, who became the head of Hamas and the architect of the October 7th massacres. And this is every deal that Israel has struck with Hamas, and interestingly enough, also with Hezbollah in the north, has involved the release of great numbers of Palestinian or Lebanese terrorist prisoners from Israeli jails. So there's precedent, certainly, and Netanyahu will go back to his government and say, you know, what can we do? We have established a precedent. I think the major point here, Wolf, is Netanyahu's relationship with Donald Trump. Israel is facing, as you know, increasing isolation in the world, the possibility of sanctions, boycotts. There's one major barrier to that, and that is Donald Trump. And Netanyahu is going to do everything possible not to in any way alienate this president. We've seen, and I say this delicately, we've seen in the UN in the last couple of weeks how the president can change his position very quickly on the Ukraine, for example. And it'd be very, very delicate, always to maintain a very solid relationship between the prime minister and the president.
In his 21-point plan, Trump is now supporting what he calls a credible pathway to Palestinian statehood. Of course, we know that Netanyahu strongly opposes what's called a two-state solution, a new state of Palestine living alongside Israel. How serious of a problem is this between these two leaders?
Well, it's a serious problem internally for Netanyahu. The question is whether he can agree to that and maintain his coalition, or whether there be opposition heads, Benny Gantz, Gadi Eisenkot, you know, these people are the heads of the opposition, whether they would come into the government and prevent it from falling, even if the most radical elements in the coalition leave the coalition. The key word here is pathway. Well, what is a pathway? Path is a thing with gravel. It's not saying Israel has to create a Palestinian state. It just has to discuss the pathway. This is a long-standing Saudi requirement. I think the Saudis understand that it's difficult for Israel to create a Palestinian state, but they certainly need to discuss it. But even that discussion would prove very difficult for the present Israeli government with these radical right-wing coalition members.
Yeah, in his speech the other day at the UN General Assembly, Netanyahu strongly, categorically rejected any notion of a future Palestinian state. We'll see what happens on this issue in these talks later today. Ambassador Michael Oren, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.